Dan Morris, you're watching Bosun Dan Bushcraft, and today we're answering a question that I was asked the other day. Quite a simple question really, and that question is, do these lamps make good walking lamps for when you're out and about in the dark? And the short answer is no, but that can be fixed quite easily. Bizarrely, the biggest reason why they don't isn't actually the lack of brightness with them. When you are in total darkness in the woods and stuff like that, you actually get a bizarre amount of glare. Now, in movies and TV shows and all of that, you always see people walking around with them like that, looking for things, which no human being would ever do having any experience with one of these, because the back glare from them is something else, and you wouldn't be able to see anything other than the glow of the lamp. So there's a good fix for that. Also, when you're walking 3 or 4 people in a line, if you've all got a lamp, which me and my friends have done many times, whoever's in front of you, the glare from their lamp does it for you. Now then, the quickest way of turning them into a much better version of a lamp for walking around in the dark woodland with is to put a reflector on the back of them. Now, here's a reflector I made a while ago. It's actually made out of a piece of stainless steel that I cut and shaped and bent, that fits on the back of the lamp like that to reflect it. But for those of you who do not have the ability to do that with the piece of stainless steel, or simply haven't got the stainless steel at the moment and want to go out walking in the dark, the easiest way to prevent the glare is to just take a simple piece of tin foil, and you want the shiny side pointing into the lamp. This will reflect some of the lamp's light back into the lamp, and it will make it ever so slightly brighter. I shall just light this thing to show you this. This is the simplest way that you can make them just a little bit better of a walking lamp, simply by removing the glare. And that is to take a piece of tin foil like that and simply fashion it around the arms like so. Bit of a rustic way, but it does the job. It cures the problem. So from the front, this one's only just lit, so it's not at its full brightness yet. From the front, you can see that's acting like a bit of a reflector. It's helping you get just a tickle more light out of it like that anyway. And if you turn it around, you're not getting the eye glare straight back in the face. Now I could hold it up and use it to search around and do that sort of movie thing with. You see it in the first example I can think of is Django Unchained. He lights it and then literally lifts it up, and he's looking around for Django, and you're like, well, you won't be able to see anything because it would just be straight in the face with the light out the back of it. Now it's even more better for anybody who's walking behind you as well. And if you want to get fancy, you can roll the bottom up a bit so as it just casts light downwards onto the floor for those who are wandering around behind you. Now then, that's one modification that is possible. So what I'm going to do is actually fasten my reflector that I've made onto it with some pieces of garden wire. If I can find where the end piece of the garden wire actually is, as a more permanent sort of fasten. I'll just move the emergency tinfoil. It's just another reason why carrying a good folded up piece of tinfoil in your kit is a great idea. Tinfoil obviously has many uses, from boiling water to, I don't know, a million things, making lamp reflectors. Use it as a cup. You can use it for a multitude of different things. So I'm just going to fasten this on with the garden wire. Right, that's fastened on, and as you can see there, I sort of made this so that it's set to the right height, so that it does just let light out at the back of it to give you that little bit of ground illumination when you're carrying it at your side or something, so that if there are friends behind you, they can still see a little bit as well. And where I've made the loops on this side, you can see I've actually used the tail ends to make actual little loop loops. That will come in a little later on. Now, the next modification is using one of these, a magnifying card. You can get these all over the place. I found this on eBay for a couple of quid. And as you can probably guess already, I'm planning on making a lens. And I don't have a hole punch handy. I would have liked a hole punch. It would have made this a lot quicker and easier. But a hole punch is one of the things that just isn't in the garage at the moment, so I'm going to use a drill, as I need to pop some holes in the thing. 4 holes that line up with where I want to anchor it on the lamp itself. So as always, this poor old bench is going to have to bear the brunt of this, as that's just what happens. So I want one about there. Do your best to line it up so that it's somewhat in the right place with your hoops and things. I'll explain those hoops momentarily. If you are also drilling through a card like this, like me, take it steady, because it is very easy to overdo it and simply split the crack into your card. Right, so now all I need to do is to attach the old magnifying card to the lamp itself. So a little more garden wire is going to be used here. I can trim them nice and short, because it's not exactly holding a great deal of weight. Right then, so this really is the only part of this that I can say is actually particularly clever, because you remember the loops we put on those side, on that side, when we put the reflector on? Well, we need to be able to throw pliers on the floor. We need to be able to get in to the lamp to actually be able to light it. So what I'm actually going to do is, with the garden wire, I'm going to fashion 2 little hooks. I found these that are like round, or conically tubey, I don't know what you call them, but they're like rounded jawed pliers. I found a set of them, and they've actually, when I first found them, I thought to myself, well, what's the point in them? And over time, they've actually become incredibly useful for various little random things. None of those random things come to mind offhand, I have to say, but they have been very useful. So we'll just nip that little rough edge off of that. Now I can get in to light the thing. Stay. Give that a moment to sort itself out. I have these little loop fasteners that just drop in there. I need to put little more shape in that one. There goes two. And drop that one in there. That one in there. There we go. Adjustment here and there. Like it is a little lopsided at the moment, but that is pretty much where we want it. So you can see how it does magnify that flame, and it does make quite a difference actually, but that's quite glary. As I've said, that's what they're like when they're like that, but turn it around, ta-da, no glare. So let's just kill some lights in here in a minute. There's them. Just flick those off, and you can see no glare out the back of it now, but we are casting that light that would just illuminate the floor. We can hold it up and look around with the thing without startling our eyes to death, and it works now as it projects more of a beam so that you can look and see what you want, and particularly when you're walking around the woods, you've got more of a light to actually see with. Now you don't all have to go to the extreme of getting magnifying cards and sticking into the front of it. That's just my attempt at making it that little bit brighter, which it clearly, obviously there does. And it kind of diffuses it quite nicely as well when you want to use it as a hanging lamp. No, the card won't melt. It doesn't get hot enough for the card to melt. It'll get warm, but it won't get hot enough for that card to melt. But if you think that's a bit faffy and don't want to do all that bit, then you can instantly improve them just by, like I've said, slapping a bit of tin foil across the back, wrapping it around the arms. It's easily removed, and I figured that out quite a long old time ago when I was using them in the woods, and I wanted to lift it up to look about with it and stuff like that, and I thought, this is useless, I'm just blind, can't see a thing. And the first one I actually made, what I did was cut up a discarded can that was lying around on the floor, popped some holes in it, put it shiny side in, made a bit of string off just some bits of nettle, fastened it to it, held it up, it lit my way, I could see what I was doing, it exponentially improved the lamp experience that night. Ever since then, I've always carried tinfoil around in my bag of one means or another, and I obviously also made that reflector that I spent quite a bit of time auto-sol polishing to make it really shiny to do its job. But just the reflector enough is a big improvement to make them far more practical as a walking lamp. But if you wish, get yourselves a nice shiny magnifying card and turn it into a magnifying lamp. Very handy that you can get into it, because obviously you're gonna have to fuel it and all of that whatnot. If I wanted to go a little bit more practical, I'd take a lot longer and make it so that the rear one is hinged as well and comes off, simply because you would have to remove that to get the glass out when you want to clean it. The globes almost always come out the opposite side of where the wick winder and the fuel cap and all of that is. So if you wanted to go a bit more flashy, you could make that hinge and open up as well, which is probably why a lot of people would prefer to just use the tin foil, as it's very reusable. You can just peel it off and you haven't got that issue. So, but there we have it, guys, the walking lamp, or the modified, made slightly better for walking lamp. So as always, guys, that's all from me for this video. Get yourselves out there, get having fun, get modifying lamps to bring them into more useful purposes when we're out there in the woods. Above all, be safe, and I will catch you on the next one.